So again, I am Jennifer Vibber. I teach in Penfield, which is in Rochester. And I've been a math coach for a really long time, and there's a lot of things I've learned as I've done it over the last 15 years. And a lot of that I've brought back to my classroom, and I just wanted to share that with you. So lesson number 1 is never underestimate a 7-year-old, which might seem strange given that I'm a high school math teacher, but I'm going to tell you a little bit of story here. So about 10 years ago, my department chair called me up in my classroom one day, and it was one of those like working days, you know, that we're all not looking forward to next week and the end of August where you really just want one more day in the pool. And so I'm at school and I'm working, and my department chair calls me. She says, "Jen, you've got to come downstairs and meet this kid." And I said, "Okay, you know, what's going on?" And she said, "Well, we have a student who's been at Montessori schools, and he's transferring into Penfield. And he's really, really bright, and he's already taken the geometry regents exam and passed it, and he's 7. And I said, yes, I think I do want to meet this student. So she brings me downstairs, and downstairs there's this little tiny boy, 7 years old, almost 8, but 7 years old, and he's sitting on the chair, and he's kicking his little feet. And she says, "Jen, this is Alan. Alan is coming to us from a Montessori school, and he loves math." And she, at the time, knew that I was obviously the math coach, because this was about 6 years into my teaching. And she said, "I really want you to talk to him, talk to his parents, because you probably know what he can do to continue being good at math and that he doesn't run out of things to do." So she starts talking to me, and then she leans to Alan and says, "Alan," and she's talking to him like he's a regular 7-year-old, "Alan, this is Mrs. Vibber. She loves math so much that she even has a shirt with pi on it." Straight in the face, he looks at me and he goes, "How many digits of pi does it have?" And then I asked his parents if I could bring him home. I have an extra room, and I'll just keep him, and, you know, they'll be with him. So this is, you know, my math attire. It wasn't like, "Hey, let me find my math clothes." It was, which math clothes should I wear to the talk about loving math? So this is what I ended up with here. So I do have a shirt with pi on it. I don't know how many digits it has, but I do have a poster in my room that has 500,000 digits of pi. It's printed in micro text from Xerox. It's super cool. So I love math. I've been doing this kind of stuff my entire career, and even before that. In high school, I was a math league competitor. My husband and I met during math league meets, and so I always tell my students, "Hey, come to math league. You never know if you'll find the one." And they're like, oh. And then we start talking about the math pickup lines, you know. So we'll get to those later. But really, I love being a math coach. My pets are named after math. To find your place setting at my wedding, you had to solve a mathematical expression. But my students know that I love it, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to be a math coach, is I figured, hey, I'm already doing math, you know, 7 hours a day. Why not make it 9? So hopefully that's kind of one of the things, is my passion for it is what really drove me to it and what helped to drive my students there. And I'm sure that's all why we're here, is we love what we do. And again, we're here on a Saturday in the middle of the summer. So lesson 2 for me was no grades really spark excitement. When you're a math coach, when you're doing math league, the students aren't graded. Yes, we go and we correct everything, but there's no grade attached to it. And I think that's what keeps bringing my students back. So the way it kind of started for me and evolved is that basically, I wanted to do something more for my students. And I know not everybody in here is a math teacher. I know some of you were science teachers, but I'm sure quite a few of the science kind of flocked away. But I know not everybody's a math teacher, but there are science competitions out there too. So as I'm talking, feel free to daydream about the science competitions you did as a kid, or that maybe you're involved in, or that you've heard about but you haven't really done anything about yet. And maybe try to start thinking about, well, how could I build that into my time frame? So when I started doing the math coaching thing, I was more like a cheerleader and a chaperone, but, you know, with food to make sure they kept coming, because they're teenagers and they eat a lot. And I really just tried to recruit a small group of kids. And I said, hey guys, let's do Math League. And we had maybe 15, 20 kids coming to our math meets every month. And now I routinely bring 45 to 50. And it's fantastic. And that wasn't all me. It was me in the beginning, and I said, come to Math League, let's see how it goes. And then we'd have discussions on the bus ride on the way home. Oh my God, Mrs. Vibber, I can't believe I missed this 2-pointer. It's so frustrating, I was so close. But it wasn't that frustration they get when they get an 81 on a calculus test and they're like, oh my God, I can never go to college. I only got an 81. It's not that feeling. It's that I really wanted to do well and I didn't do as well as I thought. I want to try harder. And so that was one of the things that really kept them coming back. And then they would go and tell their friends, come to Math League. It's fun, we kind of hang out, we talk a little bit, we do some math. It's very low risk. And all the students think about Math League is, oh God, it's like that Lindsay Lohan movie and you're standing there in front of the screen and the limit does not exist. And then everybody cheer. It's not that. It's us little individual pods helping each other out. So really, I was the recruiter in the beginning, and now my kids recruit for me, and it's really a fantastic thing to do. The other thing about it is it's really a community of nerds. I mean, it's just a big nerd camp, and these kids get to be with other kids who like the same thing. Whereas in school, they can get a little bit excited about it, but they're always a little bit reserved. At Math League, everybody is on the same page, so it's really quite fantastic. The next lesson was you are motivated by creative problems that are accessible for kids. So some of the Math League questions that we might have are things like, what's the last digit when you raise 2 to the 2017th power? Wait, Mrs. Vibber, I don't know how to do that. Well, give it a shot. Start at 2 to the 1st and just keep going. And so they can start to get there. Oh, wait, I think there's a pattern. There is a pattern. Patterns are awesome. Oh, yay. Now you're doing some math that you didn't think you could do before. I'll never forget, we had one creative problem where it was a big giant that said fee, fi, fo, fum, fot. I think the answer was fot, fot, fot at the end of it. And it was, he said fee if a number was divisible by 2. He also said fi if it was divisible by 5. And it's just cool looking stuff. And so they start to think a little bit more about it because it's accessible. The other thing that I brought back, and again, this isn't just about math coaching, but what you can bring back, is starting this year, I've already created a problem of the month that we're going to post up in our school, and I've got a QR code scanner, and it's going to be, hey, I'll buy you a grilled bagel if you can solve this problem. If multiple people have solved the problem, I'll do a lottery, and somebody gets a bagel from Mrs. Vibber at the end of the day. And it's, again, going to be those creative problems to get the kids hooked on, wait a minute, this is math? That's pretty cool. These creative problems are also how I hooked Alan. So when Alan was downstairs and I talked to his parents and I said, well, here's one place you can start. There's the AMC exam, which some of you might be familiar with. It's the American Mathematics Contest. It's 25 questions, multiple choice, and these are hard questions, but they're cool. And it's multiple choice, so it's a little bit less risky, and they can start there. And these creative problems really hooked Alan because I remember his mom telling me once, we had him sit down and try those AMC problems that you gave us the first day we met, and he got like 8 of them right, and he felt really good. And then all he wanted to do after that was learn how to make 9, 10, 11. How many can he get right and be proud of himself for? Just to kind of continue Alan's journey for you, the AMC starts it, and then there's the AMY, which is an invitational math exam. If you do well enough on that, you get to take the USIMO, which is a 9-hour, 6-question proof-based math exam, because who wouldn't want to, graduate up to that? And if you do well enough there, they send you to the summer program. And fast forward, Alan has been one of the 6 competitors at the International Mathematics Olympiad representing the United States, where they have beaten China twice and come in first place after 20 years of not ever reaching first place. Won a gold medal, just phenomenal student. He just graduated from high school a year ago and has just finished up his first year at MIT. Which you can kind of fast forward to there. But these types of problems are how I kept that 7-year-old engaged in math before he lost interest. So that was fantastic. These other couple slides are a little bit shorter here. One of my favorite just things I've read on a billboard somewhere at some point, I don't know. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And that's absolutely something that I've learned as a math coach because I'm sitting here right now. This is it for me. I've learned from all of you. I was doing a sound check earlier. There were 6 of us in the room, and I learned like 7 different things just from sitting around master teachers. Math coaching is the same way. When I'm in a math competition, I'm looking around the room. Hey, what do you guys do with the TI Inspire? I just got some in my classroom. Hey, what do you know about this kind of thing? Oh my God, I never thought about it that way. I also coach at the national and state level, some math league, and the amazing people that I've met there are really mathematicians who chose to teach. It wasn't just, I want to be a teacher. Let's teach math. And if that's how it happens and you become passionate about it, that's great. But when I sit in a room with these mathematicians, it is unbelievable the things that I've learned about mathematics and teaching mathematics and getting kids involved. When you're in the room with students, you're never the smartest person in the room. And I'm sure this has happened to all of us in our classroom, and it's the reason that we get our students engaged. So when we do National Math League, we go down to Penn State University, and the kids stay in the dorms, and we go for 3 days. And one of the days is we all sit in the room with the kids, and we just hand them problems and say, okay, here's some problems. Do. All right, raise your hand if you got it right. Okay, Steve, go up to the board, explain it. And I got to see from my kids what they were thinking about. And I will never forget, I had one kid one year, he goes up to the board and he said, well, this was a 10-degree angle, and everybody knows sine of 10 is 0.17. And I went, I didn't know that. And so watching these kids and the way they think about it, and Alan one time was like, well, it's the AMGM theorem. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I start learning from the kids, and I watch the kids learn from each other, and then they're a little bit less apprehensive about coming to the board because they see that I didn't know that, because I'll ask a follow-up question and they think, wow, my math coach didn't know that. It's okay for me not to know that. I'm going to ask more follow-up questions. So that is all pretty fantastic. And then last but not least on my side of this, I'm a math coach. I'm a math teacher when I'm in my classroom usually, but sometimes I'm a math coach in the classroom too. When I work with Alan, my other students have asked me, Mrs. Vibber, is Alan smarter than you? And I'm like, guys, Alan is smarter than anyone I've ever known. And then they ask, well, how do you teach him? And I said, I don't really teach him anything. I'm like Roger Federer's tennis coach. If Roger Federer played his tennis coach in a match, he would crush him. But he's not going to fire his tennis coach. His coach knows, all right, I know what opportunities are good for you. I know what opportunities are going to challenge you and improve how you're doing. Yeah, you can hit a serve faster than me, but I can tell you the mechanics that might make your serve better. I can tell you the opponents that you should play so that you can learn from their technique. And that's kind of what I do with my students in my classroom, and especially with my Math League students, because they're phenomenal individuals, and they need to know, where do I go next? And now I'm going to pass this over to Patty Pragel.
I don't need to clear it. Just watch it. Okay, so I'm coming at this from a slightly different angle than Jen. Yes, I've been doing the same kind of thing that she's been doing for a few more years than her, but I want to look at it so that you guys appreciate it from the student's point of view. And to get you to that student's point of view, I'm going to talk from a parent's point of view, because I had children that competed at the math teams at our school and went beyond. And it started when my son Dan, who's my oldest one, was in the 5th grade. And he had the, thank goodness, ability to have a 5th grade teacher who, first of all, was not math phobic. She was a great elementary school teacher, and she believed in challenging students. And there was something at the 5th grade level called Math Olympiad. And it was a math contest, and the kids were given a sheet of paper with a bunch of problems on it, and they had so many minutes to do it, and she ran it like a contest and gave it to her kids to do. And my son Dan did this, and suddenly got hooked. All of a sudden, he realized that, hey, here's something I'm really good at. I can answer these questions, and I can answer them faster than everybody else. And at the end of that 5th grade year, he actually came home with a trophy. And the trophy was because he was the top mathlete in this Math Olympic team. And he thought that was awesome. He's like, wow, something other than those stupid sports participation trophies. I really earned this one. I did something for this one. And I got all excited that, hey, here's a kid who, he's challenging to say the least, and I had something to spark him. Well, he got into middle school, and at the time, we didn't have a program like Math Counts, which is what the middle school kids use. And I was cursing, thinking, what am I going to do with this kid? I got to keep him engaged. He's bored at school. What am I going to do? And one of the other math teachers at the high school I teach at was the Math League coach, and she said, well, I know he's only in middle school, but you can have him come to the math team contest that we do. You know, he's probably not going to be able to answer any of the questions in the beginning, but it'll challenge him. It'll give him something to do. So sure enough, we let Dan go on the high school math team, and he started earning points. And he earned points as this young kid and got so excited that he could earn points. And then she introduced him to the AMC, that math contest that Jen was talking about. And he realized that, wait, I might not be that smart because I just answered 4 questions out of 24 questions. And that gave him a good kick in the butt. And he thought, oh my gosh, there's more stuff out here and I really don't know it. Because up to this point, and you've all had kids like this in your classroom, they think they know all there is to know. You've got nothing else to tell them because they already know everything. Well, this was what this child needed. He needed this kick in the pants. And he went on and did, the county level is, we call it MCML, it's our Monroe County Math League. He ended up by his senior year being the top student in the county. This was great for him. He needed this. And the best part was not just the contest itself, which he of course loved because he was getting better and better at them, but the camaraderie. The fact that there were other kids, like Jen said, you got these geeky kids. I mean, you could walk into a room in a math competition and go, yep, these are the math competition kids. And he fit in someplace. And it just did wonders for his self-esteem. It did wonders for everything. And the best part was, he wasn't the smartest kid anymore. He wasn't that smartest person in the room. And he was okay with that. He wanted to be able to learn from other people that were in the room, and he got a ton out of it from everybody else. And he went on and did NISML, which was our state level, and he went on and did ARML, which was the level beyond that. And then he wisely had a college professor who hooked him into the Putnam exam, which is still another contest at the college level. And you just don't know when you start out with these little guys in your classroom what they're capable of doing. And it's so exciting to watch somebody take off. Now, a lot of the kids that are in my math team right now, they're there for the food. I'll give it to them. Yes, I know that. But every once in a while, I'll get a kid who's like, wow, I got 3 of those questions right this month. That's awesome. Maybe I'll get 4 right next month. And that's what they need. They need something to challenge them. They need something that's not those grades. And it was okay that he was doing math, but it was more okay that other people were doing it too, and other people were giving him ideas of what he could do, and he just thought that was the best. And now he actually earned a PhD in mathematics and is teaching in a college and is helping to run their math club and help coach kids for the Putnam exam. So whatever you've got, you're the one that's going to influence those kids to try stuff. Get them hooked on math. Get them hooked on something, because it's never too young to get them started. Even if they're in high school already, get them started.
So if you're interested at all about the math contests that are out there, I've actually been striving. We haven't taken a team to ARML in a long time. So if you are a math teacher, especially in the Western New York region, Southern Tier, I'll take you too. But Western New York is, I've had some Southern Tier kids, so I've at least got that covered. We've been looking for more kids to go to our ARML competition, which is a national competition. So if you are at all interested in becoming a math coach or knowing anything more, if you Google my name, if you just Google Mrs. Vibber, my site's the first that comes up. I need to populate the links, but I have a list of all the contests that I know about and can help you with. You can also just email me. My email is on the website as well. But I would really love to really encourage you guys to get kids going on there. So I hope you enjoyed this and you hope to become maybe math or science coaches one day. Thank you.